This is Biff from Saxon. You're watching Dave Bayne on the front row. Yeah.
Hello, welcome to the front row. We are here again with Northern Virginia legends Kage. You may remember them from the first time around. They were here because they had remixed their first album. Did I get that right, Jeff?
No.
All right, they remastered their first album, which was State of Mind, and now they're here to talk about the remixing of Shadow of Faith. And we're here with Jeff BRASFIELD and Jeff Mortimer. You may know him as Morty, and Morty now holds the distinction of being on this show more times than anyone else other than me. So congratulations, contest winner Morty.
Does he get a plaque?
Yeah, you get to.
I should have my own. I want to get my own show.
Actually, the prize is you get to hang out with me at Motorhead.
Hey, I'll take it.
So, Jeff, it's been a while. We're here with the second Kage album, and I want to get right into it. This is Shadow of Faith. I'm not supposed to move around. I think I'm moving around too much. What's going on with this? Tell us what's the difference between the remixing and the remastering, since I can't seem to get that straight in my head.
For State of Mind, we didn't have the original master tapes, so we couldn't go back to the original tracks and remix. For these, we were able to locate the original master tapes. So we had it converted all to digital, and we had our good buddy Matt Crooks go back and remix it from beginning to end. So, I mean, it sounds like an updated version of the original album. Sonically, it sounds better.
Okay, and one thing that I was happy to see, and we joked around a lot about this, and I want to make it perfectly clear, Morty's drum tracks are intact on this. I thought it was pretty obvious from the last time we did the interview that you and I were kidding, but apparently you got a lot of hate mail saying, how can you take Morty off the tracks? And it was a joke because Ozzy did that with the Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman album. So I was glad to see his tracks stayed intact.
As far as he knows.
Well, Morty, have you listened to the remastered?
Yeah.
Remastered version? Are your drum tracks still intact?
As far as I know, but you know, they could have been somebody different. They could have swapped them out in the beginning, so I wouldn't know.
No, you'd be able to tell. A guy like you, professional. One thing I want to ask Morty before we get into talking about the tracks is Morty, like myself, is an avid reader, and last time Morty was here, we were talking about how he had read the Valerie Bertinelli book, and I know right now you're halfway through 50 Shades of Grey, and I just wanted to let you know that
Worse. I got a worse book for you that I just finished reading.
Well, I just want to let you know, Devil Wears Prada, there is going to be a sequel. Well, what's the worst book?
I actually read The Hunger Games.
I heard they're pretty good.
They're not bad.
I mean, I'm reading the Game of Thrones books right now.
The first two books were good. The last book is so-so.
Yeah.
Oh, I got the new Zach book. I just haven't read it yet.
Oh, I have that too. That's in the queue to read.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Jeff, let's talk about Kage and Shadow of Faith, besides Morty's shitty taste in books. Shadow of Faith, who came up with the title? Why the name? Because it's metal sounding?
Well, we had gone through quite an extensive few years of touring to come up with these songs, and we wanted to kind of come up with something that tied it all together. And faith is kind of a recurring theme that I kind of gravitate towards as a songwriter when I'm writing my lyrics. And we just felt like Shadow of Faith really kind of encompassed what the album was about. Morty had this idea with the original artwork, and he knew an artist who could kind of put it all together, where this guy is entering the woods, kind of this journey through the forest, and it all kind of came together really well.
And I was going to ask you about that, the whole faith thing. I know there's one track on here where it starts out with praying. Does that go through the whole faith thing?
Well, that didn't make the remixed version.
Well, it's on the original version.
It is.
And I was going to ask you about that too, because I've heard some of the new tracks on the remixed version. The praying, why did you do it? Because it was the end thing to do because Metallica and Megadeth were doing it at the time, or?
I don't really think it was more of a prayer thing. It was just more of kind of like a Doors, kind of a
Well, it's like one person started out and
interlude.
did a second and then a third.
It's actually 3 of me.
Oh, it's 3 of you?
Yeah.
Oh, I was trying to listen for a young Morty. So Morty, you think it's more like a Doors?
Yeah, it was kind of an interlude to the song. It was something that, it was just, we wanted to do something a little bit different than the first record, and I kind of suggested it to, not exactly per se to do that, but we talked about doing stuff in between the songs. So you know, you have a track and then there's like a dead space and then the next track. And then at the time, this is the early 90s, so it's CDs. CDs are more continuous, so we wanted to have, little something to go in between the songs. And that was just one of the ideas that Jeff came up with.
All right. And why did it not make the remastered or remixed version?
We talked about it. Our original goal was to kind of have these songs kind of tie in with each other and kind of go from one to the next. And having the benefit of hindsight, I wasn't really sure that it kind of transitioned the 2 songs as well as we had originally hoped. And we talked about it and we decided, yeah, it's not really an integral part of the song. It can probably go.
Okay. Well, what I'd like to do is I've listened to the whole album, and there's certain tracks that stuck out in my mind. And if there's anything you guys want to jump in about, I'd like to ask you about particular tracks. If we could, if we could do that, if you could indulge me. One thing that jumped out at me, Back on My Feet. Was that you guys trying to be Raga?
Not really. The funny thing about that is Gary had joined the band in 1991. It was before Morty even joined the band. And 3 or 4 months in, he came to me and he said, listen, we're never going to be able to use this, but I think it's kind of cool, and it kind of sets a mood. And it was the basic bass track for that song. And one of the things I always try to do as a songwriter is take stuff that you don't expect and try to build it into a song, a complete song. And in that way, this was an experiment. And we really, really liked how it felt as a complete song.
I think it sounds Raga.
Well, it's certainly reggae influenced.
That song really was experimental pretty much in its purest form, because I forgot which track we did. So we were tracking in the studio, and we just finished tracking for that day. We were on schedule, and we had a little bit of extra time, and we were just feeling the energy, and Jeff was like, you guys want to do Back on My Feet? And we're like, yeah, let's do it. And we just said, okay. And it wasn't like a pre-planned thing. I don't even think we originally were even going to have it on the record. I don't know, but we were like, let's do it. So.
You understand why I say Raga, right?
Of course.
You get the joke,
of course.
Right?
Spinal Tarp.
Just so people out there don't think I'm an idiot and saying, why is he saying Raga? But I guess it's the same reason I say karaoke instead of karaoke. That's a whole other show.
A lot of the stuff on the record is experimental. We really tried to do different stuff.
It's different than the first album. It's much different than the first album in that the first album to me seemed to be, okay, this is the style of the time, this is the type of music you're playing, and it all fit within that.
Yep.
This album, one thing I noticed is on your vocals, they're lower. Is that because you couldn't sing that high anymore as you got older, or was that a conscious choice?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say it was a conscious choice. I would just say that those are the songs that came out.
Okay. But I'm right. Your voice is lower. It's not as high.
Well, on Reap What You Sow, it can get pretty high at times.
It just seemed to me like overall that your voice was lower on this album.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
The songs too, whereas and I don't mean this as a criticism, I'm just pointing out what I noticed from listening to the album, where State of Mind had the same theme or same type of songs. These are all like different types of songs.
Yeah, I think
so. It goes back to what Morty was saying, is you guys experimented with different styles on this album, and I noticed that just listening to it. Another thing that I thought was a departure for you is you have a song like, and I can't read my own handwriting, so I'm going to have to look at this, is The World Is Catching Up on Me. You had a woman singing on that.
Yep, Stephanie.
And who's Stephanie, and why did you decide, as a heavy metal band, to have a woman sing a track on your album?
Well, again, that's another song that Gary had written the acoustic guitar for, and he came to me and was like, "Listen, we're never going to be able to use this, but I thought it was cool, so I just want you to listen to it." And it was very spontaneous in that I wrote the melody and the lyrics to it, and again, we didn't think we would ever use it. I tried to sing it, but it sounded horrible when I sang it. I mean, it's not written for a guy to sing. Well, we had talked to Stephanie previously. She was in another local band, and we'd asked her if she wanted to sing some backup from time to time, because we thought it would add something to the songs. And she really enjoyed it, and we said, "Here, sing this from beginning to end." And the first time she'd ever sang it by herself, I think, was in the studio. And we thought she nailed it, so we kept it.
It's actually quite surprising. When I was listening to the album, I wasn't ready for a woman to come in singing it. To me, it kind of reminded me of Cage's God Bless the Children of the Beast from your favorite Motley Crue album, Looks to Kill.
Yes, thank you for
The
bringing
Looks
that
to
up.
Kill album.
Yes, I'm never going to live that down.
No, but in all honesty, it did remind me of, don't shake your head at me. It did remind me of your guys' version of God Bless the Children of the Beast. It was such a departure and a nice, sweet sounding song, and you've got this nice vocal over it, and then it goes back into the harder stuff.
Right.
But yes, of course, I will use any opportunity to bring up the Look to Kill album.
Well, as long as you bring up Michael Jackson's
Beat It album.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, back to what you're saying, the album was recorded in sections. We did it in different seasons. We did, it's not like, we're a signed artist at the time. We don't have a budget to record 16, 17 tracks, which was kind of good for us because, like Jeff was saying, we experimented with it live. And we did, 3 or 4 tracks of, songs at a time, and then we test them out and play them live. When Stephanie was in the band, really at that point, we were kind of a 3-piece band, and we had a percussion guy playing with us, and then we had Stephanie singing backup vocals and doing tambourine. And that's really one of the big differences between this record and State of Mind, was just the fact that we kind of grew as artists, and we did those experimental things and would try different things, but there's more wood block, there's more tambourine. We tried to kind of fatten up the sound without, overdoing solos or, fattening up the volume so much. We concentrated more on melody. But anyway, back to what you were saying, like Another Day, it was just kind of where we were at the time. There's like a handful of really heavy songs on the record, and then there's some mellower songs on the record, and then
and raga.
There's a little bit of punk. There's a little. It's a very dynamic kind of effort, and that's just kind of where we were.
Well, the funny thing about it being dynamic is I wouldn't say it was pre-planned that it would work out that way, but it was certainly something that I think we were proud of, because we could do more than one type of song, and I felt like we could do more than one type of song well. The funny thing is that the major labels, when they heard it, they're like, "Oh, we're not real sure what this band is trying to be." And
I could see where they would say that, because there is such different variety and departures with the songs.
yeah, and my response,
and it becomes from virtue, I think, of what Morty's saying. Hey, we got a budget, we can go in and do 3 songs. We're going to come back later and do 3 songs. I think that's what you were trying to say, right?
Yeah, but what's too bad about that is they might have seen it that way, and maybe they were right. They just needed to see us live. We were always the same live. Just a high energy rock and roll band.
And we're going to, I recently had the pleasure of seeing you guys live. We're going to get to that in a minute. But I'm sorry I cut you off. You were saying about the
no, exactly what he said. My response to every one of them was, come see us live, you'll understand, you won't think we're trying to find ourselves, you'll realize we've already found ourselves. This is it.
Because, again, growing up, we listened to records and being artists ourselves had that opportunity to record and do these things. There were some records and some people, experts or whatever you want to call it, that would say, well, you need to write more of this type of song or write more of that type of song and just do a whole album full of those type of tempos or those type of rhythmic, riffs or something. And we didn't want to do that.
I can definitely see where they would say that because when I first listened to the album, the fact that there was such variety on it actually kind of caught me off guard. I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't sound like something they would do. But as I listened to it a couple more times, I got it. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me.
But again, it goes back to the live show. We always got fans, and we pushed that live pretty good because people that saw us during State of Mind era, the same folks would come back, and we must have done something right.
Yeah. And you've got one cover on it, right?
We do.
Jeez, what could that be?
And
I'm not certain we can tell you.
We've got a new editor, and every time I say the word, she thinks she needs to edit me. So I guess that's all going to be edited out. But anyways, I promised Phil I would do that. So you have the Dead Kennedy song on here, Too Drunk to Fuck. So why that song?
Well, first of all,
Is this a Morty story or?
Fortunately, one of the funny things about our band is we were never the rock star band. We were never the ones doing drugs and getting in trouble. We were never the ones with all the wild and crazy stuff going on because we really took the music seriously.
That's why I didn't hang out with you back in the day.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
But Too Drunk to Fuck was a great song. We loved playing it. It had a lot of attitude. In fact, we loved playing punk-influenced covers because they just had so much attitude. So we loved it, and I also thought it was funny because it really didn't apply to us in any way, and therefore it was kind of unexpected.
So it was ironic?
Something like that.
Like rain on your
It was our tongue-in-cheek kind of, It's our tongue-in-cheek thing.
I think Jeff wants to hit me right now. Not Morty, but BRASFIELD, or maybe both of you. You sang this one, right? Or did you sing it on the record, or you sang it live, or?
I sang the version on the CD. Morty sang it live more often than not because he just, quite frankly, he did it better, I thought.
Well, that's a great thing. Again, it goes back to the dynamics of the record. A live show was dynamic in the fact that we did a lot of different covers. So we worked on the strengths of the band, whose vocals would work better. We all sang lead on certain songs, and we're talking about covers, not originals.
Right.
But that worked, and it was great. I did more of the punk stuff because I can't sing. So.
Speaking of your live show, you guys performed together for the first time in 20 years?
As Cage, was 16 years. January of '96 was our final show as Cage.
And where was that at, the final show?
It was at Nick's.
It was at Nick's, so we talked about Nick's earlier. So recently, out at Hard Times of Manassas, you played a charity event. Do you want to talk about the event?
Sure.
A little bit?
Sure.
I know we're all on Facebook and somebody wanted you to bring it up, so we want to bring up the event you played for, and I'll give my commentary on your live show.
We were asked by Ed Rodriguez and his wife Sarah to play Brody Bash 4, which is a tribute to their son who passed away from SCID, which is SCID. So every year they put together the Brody Bash as a tribute to him, and they give all the money to charity. They asked us if we would do it, and I'm a father, you're a father. How could you ever say?
I'm a mother. Sorry. But go ahead.
On that,
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Don't have any kids. I feel left out, but I'm sorry.
So you can't say no to that. You just you can.
And didn't you donate some of the sales from the last CD or the last downloads to that particular charity?
We did. And for Brody Bash 4, there were 7 bands that played. I think we had something over 400 people that showed up. It was sold out. It was standing room only. I mean, you were there. It was a packed room, and Kage helped raise over $8,000 for the 2 charities of choice. So I mean, we're really proud of that.
Now, as a non-musician audience member, I'm going to give my take on the Brody Bash. I was able to go to Brody Bash 3, which you guys didn't play at the year before. I had just gotten out of my surgery, so I couldn't stay long. And I was at Brody Bash 4 this year, which I didn't stay for the whole thing of that. There was definitely, I felt, a bigger crowd for Brody Bash 4, which is a good thing because it's for the charity. And I'm not dissing any of the bands that were at Brody Bash 3 because I think Morty was there. I can't remember if he played or not. I don't know. But anyways,
he wore a sombrero.
I do remember that.
I played the maracas.
He did. I think he played with a couple of bands that night. But anyways, like I said, I'm not dissing any of the bands that played at that. But it seemed to me that there was an excitement about you guys getting back together and playing. And I've been to Manassas Hard Times a couple times, and I've never seen them before. And when you guys played, by the end of your set, that place was rocking. I mean, it was nuts. I mean, it started out a little slow. I'll be honest with you, I didn't really know the Shadow of Faith tunes that well. Then I was waiting for the earlier stuff like You Bitch and
Night Show
and the stuff that I know. But that place, you guys, I'll tell you, man, there was just an energy when you guys played, and it's just a shame that you guys broke up because that was a great club show. It was awesome. Could you guys feel it up on stage?
It felt pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was amazing. And you know, the thing is, it's kind of weird to say we broke up because the important thing about all this is, and I think the way it was as amazing as it was, certainly I think individually as the band, it was just, I think personally very satisfying because we're all stayed in touch and we're friends. We grew up together. We lived out
all
in each
members
other's
of Kage that came by and played, right? Because there's been different members other than Jeff.
I mean, we've been in, you know, each other's weddings. I mean, we're still friends. We've gone to ball games. I mean, we know each other's kids. I mean, that's about as close to family as it gets. I mean, and we stayed in touch, so it was a no-brainer. You know, Jeff called me up and said, "Hey, man, you're probably the only one that's still playing right now, that's actively playing." And was sort of, you know, I really need you to do this. I'm like, anything you need, man. It's like anything else, you know.
And Jeff had actually, I ran into Jeff at Pat Benatar before y'all's last rehearsal, and he had invited me to your last rehearsal. But something came up and I couldn't go. I think I had to go eat Sunday dinner with my parents or something lame. But I was really disappointed I didn't get to come to your last rehearsal because after I saw you guys played, I mean, I was just blown away. I thought it was just incredible.
I'll tell you this. Some people will tell you, "Oh, I don't know how you get up in front of all those people and play." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is so much easier to get in front of a sold-out crowd and give it everything you've got than it is to get up in front of 15 people.
Which I'm sure you had a taste of that too along the way.
Well, I don't know if I told you this. Morty and I tried to figure this out. I think I've played somewhere in the range of 900 live shows, and you know, I haven't played out in 10 years until this show. Morty and I probably played 500 or 600 shows together. I mean, that's a lot of shows. That's a lot of shows in a lot of states in front of 17 people some nights and in front of 400 other nights. You know, I mean, that's a lot of time together.
It just goes back to what you're asking, David. It's like an old pair of shoes that just fits. You know.
It's funny because I texted Jeff the night before.
They usually stink.
I texted Jeff the night before and I said, "Hey man, looking forward to the show tomorrow. Are you nervous?" He goes, "I have played over." This is the text I get back. "I have played over 1,000 shows in my life. No, I'm not nervous, but talk to me a half an hour before I go on.
Well,
It's just funny the way I got the text.
I was
that
trying
was
to
in
be
two parts.
funny.
That was in 2 parts.
I was trying to be funny.
Because, I get up in front of people for a living every day. That's what I do. But, I still get nervous going to court, things like that.
Well, and what you said was exactly right. If you're not a little bit nervous, congratulations, you're dead.
Yeah, that's what makes you feel alive, is that nervousness. Did you have that? Lost my pen. Did you have that nervousness at all?
To be honest with you, I'm not nervous if I go over the gig in my head and I'm really prepared, and that's really the key.
You were very. I'll say this for you. When I tried to talk to you before you were playing, you seemed very
distracted,
focused and distracted. You didn't really want to talk.
It's kind of a frenetic energy. I don't necessarily characterize it as nervous, because I don't feel like I'm nervous, but I do feel like, okay, I got to make sure everything is prepared. I make sure I know where my picks are. I know where the set list is. I know the guitars are in tune, and then after that, you get on stage and it's all right there for you.
And it's not just that. I mean, sometimes he'll assign things to you to do, like, Morty, I need you to hold these lists. When we get up there, sometimes it's like a soldier, you have a job to do, you have to get up there and do it. Nervousness probably isn't so much, it's more like a fighter before that big fight and getting up there. It's like that kind, I think. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're coming down to the end of the time here. Where can we find this remixed, remastered, I'm going to screw it up, version of
Where can't you find it?
You
That's
can
what
find it online everywhere, iTunes, Amazon, everywhere, and we will have a limited edition set of these CDs available, physical CDs, on PotomacRecords.com. So,
okay, great. And real quick, any plans of a Kage show in the future? Is Kage going to ever play together again, or is this the last time we've seen you?
I hope we can play again. I hope we can work something out. We don't have anything booked right now, but we've had a few conversations, and I think the future is open.
Well, I'll tell you this, it's a hell of a show. If they do get back together, go see them. If not, you can get Shadow of Faith or State of Mind on the iTunes or Amazon or PotomacRecords.com. I'm Dave Bayne. You can catch me on FrontRowShow.com or find me on Facebook. Thanks for watching.